All right, guys, so I recently just started watching From this season, and I caught up immediately after watching episode 1, and I absolutely love the show. Everything about it, man. These guys are put in so much desolate despair and horror and terror, and I just love it, you know? And as you can see from the title of this video, I really just want to compare it to Attack on Titan because it has a lot of similarities to From. And I remember when I first watched Attack on Titan, it was always the show where I was like, yeah, this place is the one world I do not want to live in. But now, as I've been getting older, I've been seeing some worlds where I'm like, yeah, maybe Attack on Titan is better. And so I want to talk about why I think I would rather live in Attack on Titan than From. So basically in this video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how each world is, how it is living in them. So for this video, it's going to be broken into a couple parts. I'm basically going to talk about what these shows are about, what the synopsis and the world building of it is. And then I'm going to talk about what it's like living inside the, safe zones of both worlds. And then I'm going to talk about how it is when you're taking risks and trying to get out of these safe zones and expand your horizons. And then I'm going to talk about how it is when you're taking risks in these worlds, trying to find answers to escape. And then I'm going to talk about some of the worst things that has happened to people in the show so that we can see if it's better to live in From or Attack on Titan. But before we continue, since we're on the topic of talking about people who are fighting against nightmares, let's go ahead and get a word from today's sponsor, Diablo Immortal. This video was sponsored by Blizzard Entertainment. So I just started playing Diablo Immortal, and the thing that surprised me the most about it is honestly how easy it was to jump into. Within the first few minutes, you're already choosing a class, unlocking abilities, fighting huge groups of enemies, and just feeling ridiculously powerful. The world is also way more cinematic than I expected. You're going to be traveling through these dark fantasy environments, fighting demons and giant creatures, and it just makes you feel like you're playing a fantasy movie on your phone. Now, as you keep playing, you're going to start unlocking more abilities, finding better gear, running dungeons, completing quests, and it's also surprisingly social. You can jump in with friends, run dungeons together, take on bosses, and work through content as a group. One thing I found very shocking was how much the game gave you to keep progressing. There's plenty of content, rewards, gear progression, quests, dungeons, bounties, and events that let you keep moving forward while playing for free. So whether you've been playing Diablo for years or you're completely new to the series, Diablo Immortal is a really easy way to jump into the franchise. So if you do decide to check it out, use code ZergRush when you install Diablo Immortal to get free rewards, including a legendary crest, 3 rare crests, a random legendary gear item, 6 citrons, and 6 rubies. So check out Diablo Immortal now using that link in my description, or use the QR code on the screen. And thank you once again to Blizzard Entertainment for sponsoring this video. So first of all, let's start off with From and talk about how it is living in this world, okay? When you start, you're gonna just be driving down some random street, and then randomly a tree is going to be in the middle of the road. You're gonna see a bunch of crows, and then you're gonna go back, you're gonna see this town and be like, oh, what the heck is this town? Might ask for directions, or you might just try to go through it, and then you're gonna drive, and then you're gonna end up back in that same town, even though you were driving straight. And you're gonna be like, what the heck? You're really gonna start getting confused. You're gonna keep driving, and every single time you're gonna end up in that town, and then you're gonna get out, and you're gonna say, what the hell is going on? And then you're going to realize that you are now forever trapped in this town, potentially, and every single night, monsters come out, and they're going to try to kill you horribly. So that is the general setup of From. That's basically how it is. You're trapped in this town, monsters come out at night to kill you, and everybody's looking for a way out. Now on to Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan, you're basically already living inside these huge giant walls that are just colossal, okay? And you live there, and you never go outside of these walls, and you probably grow up just never even thinking about going outside the walls, because outside the walls there are giant man-eating titans that don't want to do anything else but eat you. Okay, so ain't no going out there, all right? And in the beginning of both shows, the characters are relatively safe. Yes, in both shows, everyone feels and knows that there's danger around them, but they have a system in place and a society and rules that allow them to live somewhat peacefully. But it wouldn't be a show if things didn't go bad, so naturally they do. Because I think that living in From is so much worse than living in Attack on Titan, we're going to start off each comparison talking about Attack on Titan, and then we're going to talk about From. So what is it like living inside the world of Attack on Titan? Well, when you're in these walls, it's just like living in today's society. You know, there's poor people, there's rich people. You know, you can become a doctor. You know, it's a fully functioning society. A lot of people, millions of people. You know, it's a whole nation. It's just surrounded by Titans. You know, you can get married, you can have kids, you can live an entire life, you can have fun, friends, you can drink. And it's not like a fully peaceful society, just like, you know, real life. There's underground societies where there's a lot of crime. There are thieves, there are murderers, there's corruption, everything that you can expect in a normal society. So honestly, if you're living inside the walls in Attack on Titan, life isn't that much different than living in the real world. Now, going to talk about From is very similar in that you are trapped in some confined space and you have somewhat of a society here, but everything about From is so much more suffocating and restricting. You know, you don't have this place with millions of people. You're in a town where there's probably 100 people max, and it's just this small little town that's, you know, it takes 5 minutes to walk across, and then there's this surrounding forest where there's all type of danger and weird things. But if we're talking about just the safe zone, you know, you got a small little rural town with a church, a diner, a house where a bunch of people live, and then individual houses where, you know, you probably go there after the last person just got murdered. And because of the limited resources and housing, you're probably going to be living with somebody you don't know, and they're just your family. They have animals for some reason. There's food. There's no signal, but there is some electronics. There's lights and stuff like that. And there's alcohol, and there's also weed. There's plenty of people to talk to. It's not too bad, but it's just not as big of a society. There's nowhere to really go. There's no scenery. There's no parades. Calling it a society is a stretch. You know, it's almost like a town hall meeting. And, you know, it's not a very big place, and there's not very many people. So everything about this place is limited. And so not only are you trapped in this small space, at nighttime, you're trapped in your house. Because that's when the monsters come out, and you got to go in your house and you got to put up a talisman. And if you don't have it up, they're going to walk inside your house and murder you. And then not only that, at nighttime, you're in the safe zone and you still have to deal with some type of suffering and danger, right? Because when you're in your home, you're going to see these creatures walking out at night if you decide to look out your window. And if you don't, you're going to see them. You can hear the monsters outside whispering and talking. And then they'll actually knock on your windows, your door. They'll pretend to be human and be your friend or whatever it takes to get inside your house. I actually made a skit about this. I hope you got it. They're just so creepy. They're taunting you. They know all of your names, and they're just walking around at night trying to find someone to kill. Okay, they're going to knock on your door, knock on your window, and if you let them in, they're going to murder you. Okay, they're going to say whatever it takes, pretend to be whoever it takes, and it's just horrifying. It's really scary. These monsters are really smart. They know your names. It's like they're unkillable. You can't kill them, and it's just a nightmare. Even in the safe zone, it kind of sucks. So when you compare the safe zone in Attack on Titan and From, they just really don't compare. The biggest danger in the safe zones of Attack on Titan is that the Titans could break the walls. And that does happen. The walls get broken, but you still have a chance for survival. And it's a one-time event. It's like, hey, they broke in. We got to survive this incident. get inside the inner walls, there is a chance that the government will send you to die because there's a food shortage. So there is a possibility that once the Titans break the wall, you just die if you don't get lucky. But it's only one time. It's not every single night you're dealing with the constant threat of the Titans. And if they do break the walls, there is still a chance of survival and a long period of time where the Titans don't get through and can attack. But in From, it's every single night you're going to have to deal with these monsters, just either hearing them or knowing that they're outside. And it's a mental torture that you don't have to deal with in Attack on Titan. The world is smaller. Man, it really sucks living in From. So now let's talk about what it's like when you venture outside of the safe zones in both shows. First of all, we're going to start with Attack on Titan. So in Attack on Titan, you have to join the Scout Regiment, okay, of the military. You join the Scout Regiment and these people go outside the walls and they explore to find clues to maybe defeating the Titans or finding some other safe place, expanding the world in some way, just looking for any type of clues, maybe capturing the Titan so they can study it, anything. And in order to defeat the Titans, you have to learn how to use something called 3D maneuver gear and basically swing around like Spider-Man with swords and try to cut the back of the Titans' necks where they are weak and will die. Now, to be honest, if you actually learn how to become a scout and, learn how to use the 3D maneuver gear, honestly, it looked like it would be really fun. Like, it looked like it would be really fun to swing around like Spider-Man. The wind on your face probably feel great. Taking down some Titans and killing them. You like, whoa, yeah, you see how I killed that Titan? Yeah, I can imagine. Like, they're treated like sport. Honestly, it can be a great time, potentially, which is nothing like what will happen in From, but we're going to get to that, because in Attack on Titan, yes, they are very fearful of the Titans. And when you do get caught by a Titan and killed and you see your comrades die, it is absolutely horrifying. That's why it's a horrible place to live. But, if you have a great day, which technically they never really have a lot of great days when they're scouting, they usually always lose people. But at least you get to swing around like Spider-Man in your despair. It's terrible still, but it's something. And even if you are a seasoned veteran, in the scouting regiment, the Titans are so unpredictable and there's so much they don't know about the Titans that it's really easy to get caught off guard. Like they have abnormal Titans that run faster or weird and have weird movements. It would be hard to hit the back of their neck, or they're really fast, or they'll hide, So the Titans can be so tricky in the world of Attack on Titan that even if you are extremely experienced, there's so much danger. And there's even danger that comes with other people's incompetence. Maybe you're trying to save someone, or maybe someone betrays you, to save themselves. There's so many different ways to die a horrible death to these Titans, but overall, at least you get to swing around. Now in From, if you are leaving the safe zone, dog, we don't know what the fuck is going to happen to you. Now, the one thing about From is the safe zone is technically just the time. It's the time of day. If it's not nighttime, everywhere is technically the safe zone. But that's not even technically true, because even during the daytime, there's unknown and hidden dangers around and in the forest. And if something happens to you while you're, not near your house where you have a talisman, you could get stuck somewhere, and then nighttime comes and then the monsters are going to get you. So the way the safety works in From is different because it's time-based. But the problem is that even during the daytime, there are things that can hurt you and kill you in From. Now, this is the point where I will give that Attack on Titan is worse when it comes to venturing outside the safe zone, because in From, it's basically just dependent on the time of day. The time of day determines the safety. So if you just venture out during the day, come back at night, or find shelter at night and use a talisman, you're generally okay. So venturing out is actually a lot safer in From. Even though there are some daytime threats in From, it's nowhere near as dangerous as it is in Attack on Titan. So this is the one part where I will actually say it's better being an Attack on Titan, because most of the danger comes at night. But the problem for me is if I'm in either one of these shows, I'm chilling. I'm chilling, bro. I'm not going out the walls. I'm not being a part of the scouting regiment. Okay. I'm not going too far to the forest, none of that. Because I'm never gonna be in any scenario where I can't get back home. So basically, depending on how brave you are, Attack on Titan could actually be worse for you. So for me, living in the town of From is still safer because I'm not doing all that. So, all right, so now that we talked about how it is inside the safe zones and venturing outside of the safe zones, let's talk about the monsters. Let's talk about the threats and what they will do to you if they catch you. Now, let's start with Attack on Titan. Okay, so these Titans, these monsters, they probably have a very intimidating presence because they are huge. For the average person, there's probably not even a thought that you can do anything to them because they are huge. It's like a building coming to kill you. You know, it's like, what the fuck, you know? So you're just like, I'm just gonna run away, but they're hard to run away from. If they're close to you, it's over. That's GG's. They're too big, so they're faster than you. If they're walking, you might be able to get away, but if it's one of the ones that run, you're done. And then when they catch you, they're going to do various assortments of weird things to you, but they are just going to eat you. They're going to eat you alive. If it's a smaller Titan, they're going to take a little bit longer to eat you. That's the worst Titan to get eaten by. The smaller the Titan, the worse it is, okay? Because you're going to start feeling every bite. They're going to take longer. It's going to really be... It's about as horrible of a death as you can imagine if it's a small Titan. Now, if you get caught by a bigger Titan, they actually, sometimes they might, kill you first, snap you in half or, smash your head so you won't feel anything. Then after they do that, they're going to eat you and then it's over with. They might just swallow you whole, not even chew on you, but then their digestive acids. And then their digestive acid is going to slowly melt you away. So there's a lot of horrible ways to die to these Titans, okay? These Titans are no joke. They are very scary. Their faces are scary because they look like giant naked humans with weird faces and smiling, and they're just weird, okay? So Titans are no slouch when it comes to being terrifying. Now, I think the monsters in From are way worse because they could talk. They could actually talk. They're very intelligent. They seem to know everything. Like they hear everything. It seems like, in my opinion, they know everybody's names. They try to manipulate you. They only walk. They're always smiling. So they're really creepy. You're going to constantly feel their presence either by hearing them. They are just the worst. And if they catch you, oh my God, they're so much worse because they take pleasure in it. They might, let you slowly realize you're about to die, like just kind of surround you and smile at you and like, yeah, you're screwed. Yeah, we got you. They're so sadistic. It's honestly kind of interesting because even though they're sadistic, there's times where they will just kill you quickly. They'll kill you quickly, slash your throat, or, eat you, devour you, and it'll be relatively quick. A lot of people get eaten in this show, and we don't know how long it took them to die or how long they were in pain. But when they eat you, oh my God, like you'll just see parts of the arm missing. They don't consume you whole like Titans do. Titans ain't hardly leaving anything behind. They eating your entire body, every piece of you off the bone. But these things in From, they'll always, for some reason, eat your entire inside, all your organs. They'll just be left exposed, and they'll, take big bites of your arm and leg and just leave nothing left but something, So we don't know how painful it is, but it looks horrible. So I can't imagine it's anything less than the worst thing ever. But sometimes they will just torture you and leave you alive to feel the pain for as long as possible. Like there's characters who were, left alive just to suffer from whatever they did to them, like tearing pieces of your body off. They might skin you alive and just leave you. Like it's horrifying. So for me, I would say I think the monsters in From are way worse, because I think the Titans are more avoidable if you just are not brave. If you're not brave and you're not a scout, chances are you won't have to deal with a Titan. But in From, your friend might open the door because one of the fucking From monsters is a big booty Latina, all right, saying if you let me in, I'm gonna twerk on it, all right. So he gonna let the From monster in, and then you gonna die too because of him, you know. And then it's even if you don't get caught, just hearing the monsters outside and having them talk to you and try to get in, oh my god, it just sounds horrible. That sounds so terrifying and terrible, and so hard to, you can't avoid that. It's unavoidable. So that's why I say the monsters in From are worse, because the way they kill you is probably comparable in pain, but the mental torture outside of just death is just forever present, and it just seems so tough to deal with in From. So I want to know what you guys think. Would you rather live in Attack on Titan or From? Or if you haven't watched either one of the series, do you think you want to watch it now? Because if you are a fan of From and you haven't watched Attack on Titan, I think you should, and vice versa. If you're an Attack on Titan fan, I think you need to watch From, because they have a lot of similarities. Yes, they're very different shows. Like, there's a lot of action in Attack on Titan, so you don't necessarily have that in From, but all the other elements about it, you know, just, you know, making moral choices, mystery, the terror of the threat, you know, being trapped in this confined space and then trying to find a way out of it. It's present in both, and they're both great in their own ways. So that's all I wanted to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know which world you would live in. I know I'm definitely living in Attack on Titan, and it might not be that. So with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I also want to give another shout out to Blizzard Entertainment for sponsoring this video. Make sure to download Diablo Immortal using that link in my description.